Cool.
Hey, this is the Corey Maselli Show. Got Matthias Bergstrom Anderson over there in Denmark holding it down. What up, Matthias?
What up?
Hey, we got Leana Kaplan today. I don't know what she is. She's some kind of cosmic, like, multi-dimensional being that like just does cool shit. And she's not an influencer. But we're trying to figure out a label for her, but so far there's not one that fits. So she's just doing her own thing and making it happen. And tell us a little bit about yourself, Leana.
Oh, geez. Well, like I was talking about earlier, like I would say I'm not necessarily an influencer. This is just where you guys find me is just my personal profile and all that jazz. But I am a full-time college student. I'm on the pre-med track, so I'm going to be going to med school and all that jazz. And then I am also a full-time bodybuilder. I'm actually sponsored, so that's super helpful. Sponsored by Metco One, the best of the best. Geez, what else about me? I mean, I kind of live like a monk. I live like a monk, like I work, go to school, bodybuild, eat. That's pretty much my cycle.
Yeah, well, tell us. All right, well, here, what I might have got to get into with you is like the evolution of women's fitness in general. Like you consider yourself, well, I don't know what level of bodybuilder you consider yourself, but how old are you? 22 years old? Something like that?
I'm 22 years old.
And like, but you're not like a pro bodybuilder. I don't know what you are exactly, but if you go back in time, let's say to like the 1980s or 90s, like you probably had a physique on par with like the best of the best, which just if you look at like the evolution of women's fitness, be it powerlifting, CrossFit, bodybuilding, the whole thing, like it's changed so drastically over like my lifetime. It's gone from being just like just an absolute minuscule, like small amount of people that were considered kind of a freak show to really becoming mainstream. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, I would say it is very mainstream, but when it comes to like pros or anything that are really good, it's not mainstream. It's like either, let's say for example, like these Gymshark boys, right? Like you see them, the lighting is perfect. The posing is pretty good. They're really good at changing things up on like Adobe Lightroom and all that stuff. But in reality, when you meet them in person, it's like, dude, I cook chickens bigger than you, So like when it comes to like this, I would say the social media aspect of bodybuilding, yes, it's very mainstream. When it comes to real life bodybuilding, there's not many out there,
Yeah, for sure. 100%. I mean, extremism is like extreme in any venture is going to be like not very mainstream. Let's talk about extreme. You consider yourself an extremist?
I wouldn't necessarily call myself an extremist. I'd call myself a perfectionist. I get the work done and I do it well, and I make sure it is done with 110% effort. I wouldn't necessarily call myself like an extremist in that aspect, but I put my body through a lot and I expect a lot for myself. So I'd say more perfectionist.
You know what's funny? You're absolutely an extremist, but it's just part of your DNA. So you don't even perceive it as anything different. For example, your athletic ventures in track and swimming. Were you just some kid who showed up and never placed?
No.
What level of competitor were you?
So I actually just ran track D1, and I also got accepted for swimming D1 too. So I had to pick, okay, are we going to be a D1 swimmer or are we going to be a D1 track athlete? And I was like, all right, well, we're going to do track because I enjoy that more. Yeah,
whatever. My point is you're probably naturally pretty much an extremist. No, it's not a negative word in my mind because anybody successful in any aspect of life is pretty darn extreme. And to be a perfectionist, that's an extreme thing in and of itself. But you rock you how you want. I'm going to call you an extremist.
Okay. I will. That's totally cool with me.
But like gym, bodybuilding, powerlifting, is it therapy? I mean, what draws people to it? What makes people stick with it? Like, why is it like such a? To a point, why is it such an addictive behavior?
I would say that there's two groups of people out there, and it's very split up. There's those who go there, and I would say the better athletes when it comes to like bodybuilding or powerlifting or whatever have had some sort of trauma and or situation that led them to the gym. That is the same in my situation. it would be, rather than taking a situation and either internalizing it or putting it on someone else or like some negative behavior, I would say the people like myself redirected that energy and whatever happened to better themselves. And then you got the other group of people, which is the people like, oh, I just want to like look good or be able to do this or be able to do that.
I just want
and
to
then they
tell
go
them,
out and party on weekends.
how about the people that like do extreme things and party all weekends like me?
Well, you know what? I don't know how you do that. But if it works for you, you know what? It works for you. Maybe there's a third group. It's a little bit of both,
Yeah, I'm not like, for example, I think I don't know what level of sharing you're willing to do about any trauma you experienced, but I'll share some of mine that I think you hit the nail right in the head with it. Um, I always like had an, it was hitting the weight room was like a magical freaking, I don't even know what the word I'm looking for is, magical outlet to really keep me out of a lot of bad situations. It did, like frustration, like any kind of like, self-hate, like issues that a young man has seem to just go away when you're pounding, or it could be woman too, I shouldn't say young man, just seems to go away when you're giving that gnarly effort. It just does. It is a therapeutic activity in nature, I'd say. And I don't think there's really been enough research done on it. I mean, everybody knows that exercise is a great antidepressant, but I think it is pretty magical and powerful for, at least as a coping mechanism when you're going through a lot of shit.
I would definitely agree.
Yeah, so with me, I was a total train wreck. I had like abandonment issues, a lot of self-hate issues, like just looking back on it, I was just a walking ticking time bomb. It was a total depressed, angry, frustrated kid. And that, the weight room, football, powerlifting, that sort of thing really was a great vehicle. I don't know if it was the ultimately most healthy method of coping, but it certainly got me through.
I would say in big picture, it would be a healthy way of coping. But then when it comes to like actually understanding bodybuilding and all that other stuff, yes, there's unhealthy characteristics and things that happen, such as like body dysmorphia and like extreme dieting and competing isn't healthy. But big picture, yes, it is a great outlet rather than doing any other forms of self-harm.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about some of your, do you remember your times in track and field?
I do. Or some of them. Yes. But I know my jumps by heart, but okay, so I did long jumps. My best long jump was 18.7.
Okay.
But I usually average around like the high 16s, low 17s.
Sure.
And for hurdles, the 100 hurdles, I know my 400. My 400 was a 56. I think it was like a 56.40 or something.
Gotcha.
And then my 100 hurdles, I believe, was in like the low 12s, high 11s.
Gotcha. And then in the weight room, what are your strength levels? I know you're not a power lifter, so I don't care
So
about
I do have a powerlifting background. That's what we literally learned when we were in track. We literally did strength training. That's all we did. I don't do many powerlifting movements anymore just because I don't need to for being a bodybuilder. And also it just, my body's breaking down on me. But my best deadlift was 415. My best squat was 385. And my best bench.
For a partial giraffe, that's a pretty good squat.
And then my best,
this girl's legs are like
long,
her legs are longer than her height.
I'm tall too. It's not fun. Obviously, like it wasn't the prettiest, but we got them done. And I don't do 1 rep maxes. I do 2 reps because, like, okay, 1 rep, great, you did it. But if you can do it again, that really shows, hey, we can do it.
Yeah, there'd be like I'm remotely not encouraging you to do this, but you hit those kind of numbers just as an adjunct to your track and field career. Would be interesting how strong you could get if powerlifting was like a priority to you. Not that you're interested at all, just you probably put some pretty outlandish numbers together if that was your focus, I'd imagine.
I probably could. But the thing is just I've noticed just with the way I'm built, being all legs, no torso, and having the amount of injuries I've had for being a 22-year-old, it's not a good idea for me to do that. I don't want to end up like Ronnie Coleman by 25.
Oh, I hear you. I'm just speculating. That's all. let's go back to, I remember as myself as a college athlete, I probably spent a little too much time in the weight room. I mean, my focus was being a great football player, but I was also so addicted to like performance in the weight room. I kind of like went beyond the point of a diminishing return and actually probably damaged my performance a bit just because I would spend so much time just pursuing like radical level. I remember I squatted 900 pounds before my senior year of college football. It's like I would bench 500 pounds sometimes 4 times a week. Just, this was like overly obsessed with it, where I could have spent some of that time like bettering myself in some different like areas of athletic performance. But by bringing that up, there's a lot of people that get into fitness lack like that foundational athletic background. Matthias and I have talked about that a little bit too. But I think like you, for example, background as a high level, high performing swimmer, track and field athlete, if something happens internally, be it the psyche, the body's adaptive mechanism, something, by going through that that very hard physical exertion, kind of like wires you to be more successful in the weight room. What are your thoughts on that?
I would definitely agree with that. And I also believe it falls very heavily on the type of coaching that you respond to. A lot of people don't respond well to, I'd say, aggression or very assertive behaviors when it comes to coaching. And that's something I've noticed more and more and more. But you got to get angry. You got to reach inside yourself and find those depths that you have never found before. Because trust me, your coaches are not going to put you through something that's going to kill you. And your mind will mentally tell you, hey, I can't do this, before your body will tell you, hey, I can't do this. So at some points, you just got to push your pride and push your mind aside and just embrace the grind, go through the grit and get that work done. Because the more you think about it, the more you procrastinate on it, and the more that I would say you dread doing the work, the more time you're wasting and the more energy you're putting towards something that isn't actually getting better,
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if you know much about my background as a performance coach. My track record is pretty good, man. We've helped kids like launch professional careers, multiple different athletic events. We've had some kids set like legit FINA world records. Like the track record is pretty freaking solid, man. But I do touch on that with every athlete I work with. I talk about understanding that the emotion they put into the training is far more important than the detail, the specificity of what the training looks like on paper. Because we talk like the fuels, where intensity, focus, passion, whatever, all those things you can quantify that drive human emotion are very, very, very important when it comes to performance as an athlete, whether it's weight room, sprinting, whatever the case is. Training the mind, taking command of that performance psychology is like absolutely critical for high level success. And historically, I've spent a lot of time like coaching the mind of a young athlete and like teaching the athlete how to associate that discomfort or pain of training as like an indicator of the success that lies ahead. So that's kind of the approach I'm taking with it.
And there is a huge difference between being hurt versus it being uncomfortable. And people don't have a good time distinguishing that. And that's what really makes athletes better or not. It's like, okay, yeah, scientifically, every time you were lifting something or sprinting really, really, really hard, or I don't know, like hitting someone really hard, you're going to feel that burn in your muscles. Well, let me tell you what, that's not actually you being hurt. That's just the muscle fibers breaking, tearing. And then what's going to happen? They're going to rebuild and you're going to get stronger. So, and people just don't have a good time distinguishing that difference. And once you do, I would say it really helps taking performance to the next level.
Sure does. I'll share a story with you. But I was a sophomore in high school, and I hit a 300-pound bench. And there was this kid, John Russell, who was a little older than me. And he got pissed off. He was trying to bench 300 pounds for a long time. He saw me do it. He went to the weight room to do the testing things like, Coach, I think I can bench 300. And so he did it. I'm going to do it. So he tried it. He missed it. He tried it. He missed it. He tried it. He missed it. Long story short, like the 9th or 10th attempt, he somehow got it. But that completely defies any kind of logical like outlook on human performance. But it's just a testament to like the will, the belief, and like being fierce and chasing down like something you want to accomplish.
Well, it's also the testament that like it is so mental, because I guarantee he was doubting himself those first 8 times. And then he was like, I'm getting closer, I'm getting closer, I'm getting closer. And then at that point, when he lost that doubt, then he could do it.
Yeah, something like that. Whatever. It was an interesting experience. Johnny Russell, shout out to you, man. This kid was a wild maniac and kind of like, I was a special education teacher, and he's one heck of a human being. But I would to put paint like I'm not telling you like he didn't like almost get these lifts. Like a few of them he got totally pinned. Like the weight is completely like stapled him to the bench, and he just kept channeling that energy up and up and up and up. So whatever it is, it worked. But it was a good lesson to me that your body can do a little more than you might think it can.
Oh,
Always.
absolutely.
Definitely.
Always.
Matthias, I'm going to jump subjects. You talked about a little bit of this for our 7731 interview, and I'm definitely handling this complete ADD fashion. But I wanted to, a little bit ago, we talked about trauma and that be kind of a driving energy behind people's success in the weight room. Do you mind sharing some of your story about when you were a younger guy and getting bullied, and you kind of like getting to the point where you turn it into a positive in your life?
Well, I mean, being angry in some way it can be a huge strength. Actually, you push towards your goals, and
Well, let's back up.
But
if you don't mind sharing with Leana, like your actual bullying experience, what it was like, like how long it lasted, and like the intensity of it.
It began when I was 4 or 5 years old. People would pick out on me, call me fat, stuff like that. Make fun of my middle name, and I mean it was very bad, very much like a decade of hell growing up, and like all chances of having good social skills were completely destroyed. So it was a very hard beginning in life, and along the way I just learned that if I push through, I can reach any goal I set in my mind to. I want to do this, I practice, I do it. I want to do something else, I practice, I do it. I learned that very quickly, and I mean it didn't matter if I got hurt, fell on my ass, anything. I just kept trying. It became very natural for me to just endure hardship and keep going. That may be part of why I've had so many injuries, actually, because I didn't really know when to stop. I was just so used to pushing through.
That's the same as me. That's literally the exact same as me.
Yeah. So I mean, I learned that getting fed up with like bullshit and being angry can be a very big strength, because it drives you forward. You just have to put it into the right things. If you want revenge, yeah, I mean, you might dig a grave for your enemy, but there's a real chance you end up lying in it instead of him. But if you direct your anger into like the weight room, that might be an instant record just because someone pissed you off earlier in the day. If you're really really fed up, and I mean, all you gotta do is just kind of roll with the punches.
Yeah, I'm just going to throw this thought out there. So a lot of times, experience in a weight room could be a person's first like experience of achieving success and seeing themselves actually make a positive change. So that like that momentum wheel of confidence starts to build. So I think that's kind of like one of the biggest takeaways people get from the weight room, is actually finally building some sort of confidence. Because a lot of people at first are just so beaten down. They're just so like, disenchanted with life, and they just have not experienced a successful event or behavior activity. And like just literally seeing themselves make an improvement, get stronger, it does, create some real positive momentum. So confidence is like such an important aspect of training moving forward in life. So
yeah, I mean,
I think that's kind of what happened to you. From what you told me, your confidence had to have been like in the dumpster, but then you started seeing success in martial arts and strength training and your boxing, whatever it is you were doing. That confidence just started like becoming organic. And now you're the sexy Viking, internationally known, on the microphone. What do you think about that?
I think it's pretty crazy. People are walking up to you and calling me like the Russian Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like, nowhere near that, but thank you to those people. I mean, it just goes to show that if you believe the hype and what all the single mothers and all that are telling you, all the women are telling you that it's bad to be angry, only psychopaths are angry, you just end up lying on the couch watching Netflix all day and getting like dulled by all the bullshit. If you actually like get pissed off about it in some way, or like at least frustrated and want to do something about it, then you have like a lot of energy within yourself, so you can take action and better your life. Use the obstacles as fuel.
Yeah, what's the point of like having emotions and feeling if you're not able to use them, or if society tells you not to show them?
Yeah,
fuck you.
Like I just come to the bottom of your mind. Sure, I'm over emotional, over protective, and like completely like like on the edge at all times. I need some kind of physical outlet to manage this freaking thing that takes the side of my head. Like
Yeah.
I don't do well without it. So it's something I'm never giving up.
Yeah, and you'll notice like the most successful people, like the ones who get ahead in sports and in career and stuff like that, most of them, the vast majority of them, like they are fucking dangerous if they are not like progressing. I mean, seriously.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Rude, arrogant, like too arrogant sometimes, like violent even. Like they have a driving force within them, and they have to channel it correctly. You know, you don't want to walk up on some like big shot CEO and punch him in the face. I mean, you just don't. Like,
I think a better idea is like really hassling Mike Tyson until he loses his cool.
Yeah, don't talk to Mike Tyson.
Actually, I do want to bring up Mike Tyson. I'm a big fan, man. We finally got. I remember watching him before he even was a champion. But like, Leanna, have you ever watched Mike Tyson's podcast over the last couple of years?
I really have not. I mean, I totally would if I had the time, but my time is so spread thin.
Yeah, I'll just simplify it. He's a young man that I can relate to him. I was abused as a kid, and a lot of abandonment issues. Just had some fucked up shit go down, and so Mike says, granted, he's recently in the news for punching the guy in the airplane. I don't think he's a soul on earth that wouldn't have. The guy just was way overboard. But like when Mike Tyson said his big development was finally getting to the point where he couldn't turn around and accept himself a little bit and love himself, and didn't have that that nonstop like flame of hatred, self-hate, spear, whatever it is, lurking in his soul at every moment. Now, recently the guy did whatever, he had that little incident in the news, but in general, if you listen to Mike's story, like coming full circle and just like letting go and releasing it and not like holding on to the pain, was like a huge turning point in his life. So I encourage everybody to check out Mike's podcast if you can, because the guy, it's pretty darn it's an empowering message that he has most of the time. But anyway, that's something I can really relate to, because for years I would, in an unhealthy way, I would use that fuel that would like drive me in the weight room. Instead of letting it go, I would almost like overdwell on the negative crap that happened in my life. I don't think that's healthy at all. So I'm encouraging people to do that have had traumatic experiences, that to like get to a point where you don't need to like relive that trauma to create energy, create fuel. There's better ways. There's higher energetic frequencies you can tap into, like acceptance, love, community, things like that, which a little bit, getting kind of hippie on it. But, there's no there's no ceiling to those positive emotional frequencies. We're relying on those negative vibes. They do have a basement. They take a toll, and eventually they will kind of hurt your energy. So I don't know if I'm making a lot of sense with that, but
no, it makes sense.
Yeah, because like when you're traumatized, it's all about your kind of selfish, like, oh, this happened, fuck this, fuck that, fuck the world. And then when you get to the other side, you begin to like actually love yourself and see the world in a more positive way. Then you can have anger for other things, like, why am I not progressing enough? Or like, why are some people mistreated? Like all that stuff, and you become more aware of other people. You think more about other people than yourself. And I mean, this episode is about to run out of time, so we will be talking about that in part 2.
Oh, not the episode, the first section. Well, hey, by the way, I forgot to shout out Rap Fiend Radio. Check it out. Matthias, are you banging that Rap Fiend Radio over in Denmark? Yes.
Oh yeah, at work every day.
Yeah. So this episode will be out of Rap Fiend Radio tonight at 7:00 Tuesday, Thursday, 7:00 Central, and you can catch the Corey Maselli Show streaming. So anyway, I just usually pretty bad at reminding people that, so I'm reminding you. Boom, we'll take a little break here. We'll get back to part 2. Leanna will send you the link in just a second.
Perfect. Sounds like a plan.